I'll do a test here, like any other. Okay, so I've got the AVR switched off, so it's audio return to sender. Return to sender! So I'll play the pink noise out through the... so that's wideband pink noise going through, but really I should look at this on the microphone to the RTA. So it's just generally going as it is at the moment. I'll just adjust the volume is up on maximum there. There's also these preset modes on these TVs. So you get all these settings, you know. So if I go whoopsie over there, there's a bit of butterfinger there to click. Standard. Yeah, it's kind of like got a little bit more bass on it, sort of thing, but less in the other part of the frequency range, which I can clearly tell. These settings and so forth, they're just prefixed. Because I think if you use the standard, so I'll go cinema. Yeah, it's a little bit louder. So what's that? That's on 70 dB. Plus I've got the level, don't forget I've got the level turned down slightly on the true RTA on the signal output. So go to the other settings, like go back to standard. And I'll switch to what says clear voice number 3, which was what on it earlier. So it's lacking bass because basically it's just EQ'd on the basic EQ. It's just turned down slightly because these are just prefixed, you know. Go to sport mode. Yeah, so it's got a bit of bass, a little bit of top end there. Probably a little bit of high rise on the high frequency on it. That's why the frequency needle will go up, maybe a little bit slight more music mode. A little bit less. Gaming mode. Okay, and then go to standard again. And then turn on the equalizer, so you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 band. It's most likely half octave, meaning the bandwidth for the frequency, say like 1 kilohertz, would be kind of wide-ish, so it would go down onto the neighboring frequencies below it and above it, and pull those frequencies down as well. That's why the next frequency going up is 3 kilohertz and then 10,000, and so if I go up to 10,000 kilohertz and adjust the level up, needle level should go up a little bit. There it goes up a little bit there. And go up to 3 kilohertz and I'll raise it up a little bit. Just notch it down a slight little bit. Take the 1 kilohertz up a little bit. If I were to take the bass level at 100 hertz down, yeah, I can hear some of that, you know. And don't forget these, you know, these TVs, you know, they're not designed for bass really below it. I could do a more thorough test using the microphone and the RTA, but these are just prefix filters. You know, when you go to TV modes, sport mode, gaming mode, they're just the same EQs here, filters, and they're just prefixed, you know. So, you know, you get all these like modes, they're bullshit, but if you understand what they are doing, then it's like you don't have to fumble around with this, you know. But you might as well just use a microphone, pink noise, manual, do the frequency manually, do it. And let me just turn that pink noise off there for a sec. So if I were to go to a sine wave, and just notch it down to around 1 kilohertz range. That's okay, that's good. And just raise the level up on the RTA, the true RTA. Just turn the gain level up a bit on it, the amplitude level. And notch it down a bit. Okay. Now turn that sine wave off. If I go down to 500 hertz, how does it sound? It's a bit loudish, kind of a bit overbearing sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Because the EQ filters on the thing ain't gonna nail it all. It's not like you got a Odyssey or this bullshit auto EQ crap. If I wanted to EQ the speakers better, I think I could loop, say, a general graphic EQ, third octave, and kind of loop it and patch it into the, you know, and do a slightly better frequency response. But at the end of the day, those speakers, they're downward firing. It sounds impressive. That, you know, even gives a sort of stereo image. Not brilliant. It's, you know, just you hear it sort of thing. But a trained listener will then think, yeah, no, you know, it's okay. It doesn't, you know, it's not great, brilliant. And I hardly even use it. It's when I got professional cinema speakers behind the screen. Why would I want to usually use those speakers? And they're oval shape, I believe. They're an oval type. I think maybe they're 4-inch. Lengthwise, I think maybe 1.5 inches, 2-inch. On the width, because they're oval, they're not circular. So if I go down to another sine wave tone, down to 198, I can just about sense it starting to gonna resonate in a moment, which it will. Well, 157, that's not too badish. 148, 140. You just notice a slight resonance somewhere. Bit, but what? Anyway, we'll go down a bit lower. 132. Yeah, it's starting to almost give up the ghost there, I think. 125. That's not too bad there. 180, yeah, it's not doing too well there. 111, 105, 93, 88. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Can't knock it, I suppose. 83 hertz. Okay, all right. I'll take that back, what I said. See, 78. You see, this is something that most people wouldn't even do with their flat screens. You see, I am the first. That's 74. That's 70 hertz. And that's 66. And, you know, this is around the 70 dB range at the distance and so forth. 52 sounding pretty like it's in a bit of a frequency now, sort of in the room, sort of, so to speak. 49 hertz, forget about it. 46, that's not a proper tone, because it's straining. And when you hear something like a speaker doing that, do not try to boost it, because you will damage the amplifier, you'll damage the speaker, because the signal in the amplifier is good. It's where the speaker is, and then where that signal's got to come out, and it might be higher level up at the front, up there at the front, might be a bit more elevated, and you get a little bit more back in the room, and then it starts dropping down, and you just don't want to boost it, otherwise you'll, particularly TV speakers, you'll totally knacker the amplifier and the speaker eventually, because you'll be putting extra boost there that shouldn't be there, and you'll just knacker the speakers. But let's go down lower. And it's 38 hertz, 37, 35. No, I know what 35 hertz will sound like even on the proper, and also it's the frequency, not the it's the limitation of the speaker, because that's like putting a 35 hertz sine wave tone for a tweeter. You ain't gonna hear it. It might register on if you got it connected up to test equipment. You might see a signal there. It's not going to be good, and eventually that voice coil will just overheat, and it's not easy to take the speakers out of these TV things. It's a bit of a dog's dinner. Well, you'll make it a dog's dinner. I would make it a dog's dinner, because it'd be not as easily accessible to like other speakers where you could replace the speaker driver. But I'm surprised they don't have a crossover filter built into these things, so it can prevent any, it operates fine in this frequency range from this bass mid up to the highest. It operates okay there, but anything below it should have a filter, pretty sharpish, so you can't be, but then some people would say, oh, I want to try it, I want to see how low it can, or whatever it can do. Wasting your time at the end of the day. It's not going to do cinematic sound pressure, cinematic presentation playback. Ain't going to do it. It's not, because that'd be like sticking this bloody OLED in a bloody large premier size cinema auditorium. The size of the image and the sound from it, forget about it. For the home, they're just they are what they are. Anyway, so if I go back up to the other frequencies, 100 and 200, yeah. Oh, 280. I can hear it resonating there. I can hear a buzzing, sort of resonant. and it's sort of like, it's a bit of a long video, it's sort of like them figuring out why is it doing that, and you go around, because most of it, all that at the back where the, anyway, turn that sine wave off because it won't do the speaker long durations, won't do them any favours. It's the back part is plastic. I don't know what the front part's made of, where the screen is fitted in and so forth. Feels like metal, of a type of a metal, and it feels, the whole thing feels like an anchor weight that you can actually use on a boat. Throw the damn thing overside and it'll probably anchor the boat in position. Yeah, you got to kind of press on these plastics and such, and then you realize, oh right, yeah, it's resonating because it might not have a what they call it, internal bracing. Yeah, they say sometimes these manufactured companies make all these big TVs and all that, they put a lot of money researched into making the speakers sound good. I suppose if you look at all the different generations of TVs, and that's like with like typical like small little oval speakers, because I think that's been kind of common in most TVs over the years. I remember my dad's TV we had a Bush 26-inch, 1970s. I think that was a single oval speaker, a little bit larger size. It was about that sort of shape size. Whereas the ones on here are not that like that. They're a bit more narrow. As the the frequency response from on the 26 Bush, I don't know, but the enclosure was pretty much the TV itself. So how the tube is it's fitted in the back, and the electronics, circuit boardry, and then the oval speaker placed over this side. If looking from the back, it would be over this side, and the tube over here. So how much would it resonate and all that? I don't know. I'd have to have one for testing, vintage testing sort of thing, and then compare frequency response, do frequency responses with the microphone up near to the speakers, and see what they are like through all the different generations. Anyway, I don't want to get into that sort of, I'd rather let someone else get into that sort of thing, where people do all these reviews on these TVs and so forth. And yeah, because most people that do all the reviews, I've not seen a video on YouTube where they would do it with microphone and testing, putting sine wave, because don't forget, you can switch the AVR off, and then the signal will go from the computer, boom, into the, and then come out the speakers, boom, boom, boom. What about a frequency sweep? Let me do a sweep. So it's a long video. This ain't an actual sweep because I'm not using the microphone, so I'll just run it off. I'm going to start running it at 0 hertz up to, I think I'm pretty pointless there, so I'll probably start the frequency sweep. Well, what's the level set at? Oh, fuck it. Shall I start it at 40 hertz up to 24,000 kilohertz? Not that I don't think it's going to make that. Alright, just run the sweep. Okay, there's nothing there to actually, record because I'm not connected up to the microphone. I'll have to do another video maybe later where I can do that and test it up close with a single speaker, or have both microphones underneath, because they'll have to be underneath just where the speakers are firing downward. I did hear it slightly resonating there when it went through the sweep. I did hear it slightly resonating, so it might be a little bit too loud. But like I say, it's like if I could patch in one of these, I can make it a little bit better. Not perfect, just a little bit better. kind of iron out or filter out as many as the resonant frequencies that would commonly play sound back at. I'll turn the AVR back on. I'll turn the AVR off. Sorry, just turn that off. So wait for it to come back on.
A man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. Did you order the code red? I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
It just loses some of the dynamics in that, in the...
Please accord.
I could play the play it over just the HF horn behind the screen, just, you know, and the HF horn's going to have more clarity, loudness, dynamics, because that's what these films are mixed for. JBL speakers behind the screen, not clips or what some other KEF speaker, whatever overpriced brand. They're mixed on JBL professional speakers in cinemas. Cinemas, playback for cinemas. It's the hot weather. Dubbing stages. You know, that's where you get that brilliance, you know, and that's where commonly you go to a cinema, it's blind listening because you don't know what's behind the screen. Well, you know, I'll be surprised if it's an LG speaker and coupled with a Bose speaker, maybe something a little bit more controversial at the moment, something that's only 3 inches in size and has a killer sound from it. Yeah. So TV speakers, they're just sort of they're just there for just to hear the sound sort of thing. They're not really there for listening because they got limitations. And you stick a sound bar in. I have no idea what a sound bar is, and I bet they would be absolutely totally flawed. Unlike all the shills on YouTube BSing all that just so that they can probably make a little cash, but there's nothing wrong in that. But to bullshit the public is wrong. It is wrong. I think under a Fair Trading Act or something, it is criminally wrong to deceive, to pull the cotton wool over people's eyes, to bullshit. I would buy a sound bar because, I mean, if I were to look at the dimensions of a sound bar, this and that, and think, okay, they seem to be commonly this sort of dimension, size, and all this, and this one's this and this and this price, and I'm thinking, why is it so damn expensive on this and this and this price? And
some members be dismissed so that we can move to an immediate Article 39A session. The witness has rights.
And just turn it down.
Captain Moore.
Not that it's loud. So, I mean, I know if I were to test a soundbar speaker thing, it is going to fail miserably. Absolute fail miserably. Compared to just I would only have to use a single JBL screen speaker to compare a whole soundbar if it were laying down there on the floor, or if I raised it up slightly so it's above the TV, so you know it's a little bit away from the floor, or even put it up near close to that, it will fail miserably. It will still give a frequency response either way, but dynamic range, cinematic dynamic range, it would just fail miserably. It would be just like an extension to the speakers to an OLED, TV speakers, standard speakers. It would be just a mere small extension. I doubt they would do very good bass on their own. And just sometimes a single screen speaker can do satisfactory bass that would be just about as equal with a sub bass output signal. And all sub bass is it's just a crossover. You just set a crossover frequency on there and just dial it down, and you can make a full range channel, center, whatever, or left, or whatever, sound like a sub bass channel. That's what they were doing with Star Wars, when it came out, playing the sub bass on left center, right center channel for a CP200, and then having specific crossover filtering that's built in to the cinema processor, and playing back that Baby Boom channel on track 2 and 4 with the with that. They changed it eventually to Close Encounters, I believe I read somewhere, and then they used separate sub bass speakers, and probably then started using that onwards, and then everything else, specifications changing slightly. But I could do all these tests till I'm blue in the bloody face, and these speakers on the OLED, well, they fail. I hear it there. I mean, it's okay, but it's not perfect. It's far from bloody cinematic. And all these other bloody speakers, they market for the home cinema. All these other bloody things, like these speakers that are shallow profile, and you see these real like home theatre people that have bought the equipment and had someone install it, and they've probably been given the belief that it's all cinematic, and it's wow and all that, and the installer probably merges the sub bass with it to give them the illusion, that single center channel speaker can do all that bass. Bullshit. Like I say, cinemas, when they play back the sound, they are playing it back as it's mixed. So the sub bass channel plays totally discrete. If you want to bass manage it and take all the bass out from all the screen channel and the surround, dump it into the sub bass, what's the point of that? Because then you wouldn't even know when the sub bass channel is playing the true discrete sound, and it defeats the purpose of the object of the mix. A film like this would hardly use LFE. It would only be used occasionally, and it's kind of like, well, Dolby Atmos, where you only hear occasional little bit on the overhead. Sounds familiar? I think it should sound familiar, because it sounds familiar to me, just as when surround DTS ES 6.1 discrete mono center back surround, and that channel was like, it hardly played, and when it does, it mostly only played sound effects. And in other mixes that come along, sometimes it played a little bit of music and sometimes sound effects. Then it got to 7.1, which is kind of like the reverse of SDDS, 8 channels, and the stereo left and right back, they often played. They only played sound effects only, and then some other mixers started doing music and sound effects, and were a little bit more active. Otherwise, what's the point of having something, inventing or implementing, putting more of this into, and then hardly using it? It seems like a waste, and then it's just like Atmos speakers, overhead speakers, and how often do you hear, and is that really artistically done, and so forth? And a film like this, probably doesn't even use the surround very well. It only uses it a little bit ambient. It's not, because it's really a centre channel bloody dialogue bloody movie. It doesn't have dialogue panning moving around. It's pretty dull, boring. It would have been better if they were dialogue panning it, like an epic classic 1960s 70mm, like, The Sound of Music, Ice Station Zebra, and dialogue panning. It would probably be a lot more epic. A film like this doesn't need an Atmos up next, because it'll only be total bullshit, and you would really hear very tiny little on those overheads. Yeah. I think when this came out, it was kind of like, yeah, ooh, ah. But, now it's like, yeah, it's okay. Anyway, that's a bit of a ramble rant. I like a rant in the morning.